Well, hello there, Riccar fans. So now I'm going to weigh this empty bag here. It's one of the last paper bags, I keep saying that, but I keep finding more, that I have before we switch over to HEPA. Empty bag weight, 49.71 grams. And the purpose of today's video is going to be doing a reset type of cleaning. This is an absolutely excellent machine, certainly for low and medium pile carpet. And we're going to do a reset, which simply means this is going to be about the highest end machine, or have the best pickup we can possibly have. So it'll pick up everything that other machines have left behind in past weeks, especially the ones that perform very poorly. So let's get started with that. But the additional part that I want to talk about is going over my Excel spreadsheets, because now we have plenty of data that we can begin to talk about, and I can explain what I've managed to come up with, numerically speaking anyway. So this video is going to be running in fast speed because you've already seen the church cleaned both the sanctuary and the fellowship hall with this machine more than once. So there's no need to repeat it in exactly the same manner. So stay tuned. So here's the file. What do you got? Big snake, big giant snake. Oh, it's in you. that does it. Can't wait to check out how much dirt we picked up with this very lightweight beast. And let's see what we got here. Got a hair there, one hair there. It's probably all the same hair if it's a couple feet long. One hair there, so maybe just a couple hairs. And everything else looks pretty good. So this thorough once-a-week cleaning grabbed 77.97 grams minus the 49 something or other. So I think we're about 28 grams. So that being the case, I believe that the church just really isn't generating any appreciable dirt. And since I'm vacuuming 2,000 plus square feet, I might be able to change it from, say, once a week to maybe once every couple of weeks, say twice a month, because we're not really picking up a whole lot anymore. But this old girl here did a great job as usual and is really fantastic to use because it's super lightweight and very maneuverable. So now we need to move on to understanding the big spreadsheet that I've taken months to come up with. So now, let's see, what do we have? 14 different vacuuming sessions. Now, some of it was repetitive with the same machine, but let's go over them. So the first three that we have, which is the Supralite, the DC65, and the dual Sanatronic 80, disappointing results on that. Those three I'm going to put in, I guess, gold, because remember, when we started this, the Supralite hadn't been in operation in a while. So we're looking at broken belt, bag not properly installed. So basically stuff just wasn't working. So you could say totally unknown circumstances to come into this sanctuary. So the Riccar obviously is the first machine to run in it, and it picks up the most, so 171 grams. So that is, data point number one. I'm going to try to go through this as quickly as possible. I don't really want to spend 30 minutes, yapping on about this, although I could if I wanted to. Then we followed it up with a Dyson DC65 with the Ball Animal 2. You see a noticeable decrease. That's nice, but that's over a 2-week section. So it was March 23rd to April 6th. So that wasn't a constant, week to week to week just yet. Everything else is week to week. Then we go with the Kirby Dual Sanatronic 80. And even though the amount of dirt is definitely, it's decreasing, it's going down, of course, and you would hopefully expect that. 27 grams is a dreadful, dreadful pickup score. And mainly it's not because of the lack of airflow or airflow density in the machine, as I mentioned in its own video. It's because it only has a single row of bristles. So you definitely need more bristles to go on that particular brush roll. And if you have or can find a brush roll that has more bristles on it, you'll get better pickup. But honestly, I can say certainly, no matter what these numbers say, that 27 grams is certainly the worst pickup early on, and that's not even extracted. It's just raw. So, there's probably less that comes out. That's the way it works. So I can't recommend, if you ever wondered why I don't have a whole bunch of really old Kirby's from like, 30s, 40s, 50s. This is the only really old Kirby I have. It's not because the machine is bad per se. It's because the brush roll doesn't really hold up very well. It doesn't mate very well with modern carpet. Certainly not this low pile commercial carpet. Other types of carpet, it might do better. Okay, so let's get serious now with the first real machine that we run after the first normal set of machines that gets the dirt level down and we get to a normal weekly schedule. So let's take a look at the Sanitaire SE679K. Well, we know this one does really well. I mean, they're legendary for cleaning anything well, whether it's a pile carpet or low pile commercial carpet. So you see that the number goes up from 27 to 87. That's just no surprise there. I don't even know why we bother talking about it. So I'm going to put in green the machines that I definitely recommend. So moving on to the Riccar 8850, obviously it's a week later. Well, the Sanitaire certainly would have probably pulled out more than what the 8850 could pull out because of dramatically, well, not only different agitation, but also massively higher airflow and airflow density. But that's still, when you look at all the rest of the numbers here, that's not bad. I mean, that's still in the 50s. And of course, look at what ran behind it, right? That's the most important thing. If you want to get into like a last vacuum scenario, then go and take a look at the machine that ran before. But remember, you have to have the measurements from these things. So many people do a last vacuum wins, and it's kind of true, but it's also kind of false in that if you're not measuring things, you don't know where you are. It's like saying, my car is traveling down a road and it feels fast. Well, okay, what's the speed? Can you measure it? So without measurements, you can't really prove a whole lot. Okay, what's after the Riccar is the wide path tempo. You can see what's going on with it. It still has some pretty good pickup, but you can see the pickup is definitely decreasing. And then you see the Bissell Power Force Helix Turbo. And, this is a general, decrease of dirt, decrease of dirt, decrease of dirt. But it's also a decrease in, like, say, quality of machine, airflow, that kind of thing, generally speaking. So I'm going to mark these as, not that. How about this? Yeah, yellow. So I'll put it down as, if you have one of these, you'll probably get some reasonable performance, but it won't be surprisingly good. Not, remember, this is all low pile rubberback stuff, commercial stuff. So these three machines, the 8850, the wide path tempo, and surprisingly, the Helix Turbo, actually do pretty good. They're like a medium amount type of machine, whether bagged, or bagless. Now moving on to, we run the Supralite again, and obviously it's changed from 171 grams down to 55. Now that obviously doesn't mean it's bad. It means that if you look at the machines prior to it, so again, the Bissell, the Hoover, and the Riccar, see this right here? So you had a 37, a 41, and a 51, and this Supralite picks up 55. So it beats all three previous machines in order. So obviously the Supralite's fantastic. We kind of already know that. Moving on to the DC-33, I also have a DC-14. It's very similar to the DC-33. The DC-33 is just newer, and my DC-33 is in a lot better shape than my DC-14 is. And it picks up actually a nice amount. I mean, it's kind of close to what the Supralite does, but it doesn't meet it or beat it. So it's still good, right? If you have it, and that's what you're using or something like that, or if you find one cheap, then a DC-33 would also be okay. So I'm going to mark it in yellow. Now this might be a little surprising here, but here's this Royal Pro Series 9 amp. Boatload of airflow, and suction is higher than a Kirby. Now I didn't have the rip it out and put it in the bag, Uber shredder with the brush roll stiffeners in it. I had just the standard brush roll in it. That still did a great job. So take a look and see what I mean. So you run a DC-33 and you get 41. So you get a decent amount, and then you run a machine behind it, right? And it gets the same amount or higher. That's going to mean that that particular machine, your last vacuum wins, if you just have two vacuums, is actually doing pretty well. Okay, so I know I can probably mark that up as a green. Of course, that machine is loud. Oh, it's so loud. But the Royal's a good one. We know that. Does a great job on medium pile carpet as well. But it's a super shredder. So maybe I should mark it in yellow, because if you run this Royal with any reasonable brush roll on it, I use that term loosely, yeah, it's going to shred your carpet. So you have a choice of taking a certain amount of carpet and transferring it in the bag, or taking a huge amount of your carpet and then putting it in the bag. So yeah, you're going to have to watch that. But yeah, it'll pick up well on pretty much anything. What is also surprising, this just amazed me, the least expensive Bissell, I think, being sold today, and it might even be one of the least expensive vacuums of all time being sold at the moment in 2023, the Helix 2191 series. Look at that pickup. I mean, you had the Royal Pro series with it was like 158 CFM or something like that, concentrated in a real small area, and the Helix has dramatically less than that, has far less than even half of that, and it still picked up an amount that's fairly close to the Royal Pro that just vacuumed one session before. So you have to give credit where credit is due. So yeah, I think you realize that for that cheap Bissell, it's not going to last forever. It's not going to take a whole lot of abuse. But if it's an emergency situation, you don't have a lot of money, you got to run to one of the big box stores and grab yourself a machine, and you want it to work in a commercial environment, at least temporarily, you can do it, and it works. So it works better than it should. I'll put it that way. So Mila Jazz, notice that I don't know. I was kind of disappointed with this machine. It's so big, it's so heavy, it's so bulky, it's so difficult to, maneuver and whatnot. Yeah, the pickup on low pile commercial carpet is, I think it's good. I was really expecting it to beat the Power Force Helix. I mean, weren't you? So if the 2191 picked up 36 grams, I would have figured that a Mila Jazz in nearly mint condition would pick up the same or more. It's close. It's within like 10% of being the same, 33 versus 36 grams. But I really expected at least 36 or higher. So I kind of question it a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I'll still give it a green, but barely a green. I mean, just considering the machine, I think it should really do more than that. All right, moving on to the Hoover Air Steerable. I really like this machine, and it was lightweight, very maneuverable, and the body's super super thin, and that was a great machine to use. And it did a fairly good job here, extracted at 28 grams. So that was certainly acceptable. A little bit less than the Jazz, but still near to it. In a category there. Not that isn't terrible performance at all, and it's very usable. It's got a brush roll that can be turned off, so you can use it on bare floors more easily. And it does a good job on medium pile carpet too. For all these machines, just as a reminder, please take a look at the playlist where I primarily do a boatload of tests on my medium pile flow through carpet, and you will be able to compare the performance differences. Some of them surprise you, do just as good a job on low pile. Some of them surprise you in a bad way where they do a dramatically worse job on low pile carpet. It all depends. And of course, here's the Supralite. Don't know why we bothered to even talk about it, because we know it's going to do a fantastic job because it always has. And you see that it basically meets or beats, in this case specifically meets, the air steerable behind it, getting a 28. And that's after, what did I say, was that 14, 15, 14 vacuuming sessions now. 13 all right in a row. But that was, yeah, that was literally fantastic. And by the way, this series took a number of months to complete. So thanks for watching all of those. You can go back and rewatch any of those that you want. I guess I will have to ask the question, and you can put the comments down below, whether or not you want me to continue to post videos of the church, well, sanctuary and fellowship hall, because I know they're probably getting pretty repetitive. I still have a bunch of different vacuums I can actually use. No, I'm not planning on using a canister, because I mean, how would that really work? It would be the goofiest vacuum session ever. I'm not saying it wouldn't pick up dirt, but man, it would be tough. I would be sweating bullets. So anyway, thanks for watching this summation of the sanctuary that went from March 23rd to June 29th. So that was several months in order to get this series completed. In any case, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more.